So I wanted to go over some things with you that will help you review for the final exam. The first two slides are a handout that I gave out last week, and just want to make sure you had a copy of it. It was linked to one of our assignments. I'll link it to this one as well. Okay, so it has all of the different things that we've covered this year and some information about those things. Okay, so I want to go through some examples, and this will probably maybe be two videos, but I want to go through some examples and how would you go about answering those examples. Okay, so the first part here is just some basic algebra type of questions. So this first one says, suppose that the function f of x equals 2x plus 12 represents the cost to rent X movies a month from an internet movie club. Michaela now has $10. How many more dollars does Michaela need to rent 7 movies next month? Okay, so we can do this one of two ways. Easiest way is to plug in an X for the number of movies you're wanting to buy. So she wants to rent 7 movies, and X represents the movies. So we could take our equation and plug in a 7 there. Okay, so that's 14 plus 12, and that equals $26. Now, it says that she has $10, and it wants to know how many more dollars does she need. Well, if she has 10 and it takes 26, she needs 16 more dollars. So that's simple math. Everyone can do that one. All right, so let's look at the second one. The second one looks a little bit more complicated because you've got parentheses and all that. But this is solving for X. So the first thing, order of operations, says to get rid of the parentheses. So we're going to distribute. Get rid of those parentheses. And all I'm doing is just distributing those outside numbers, okay? Now, we want to look at this side and combine like terms. So we have a 9x and 3x. That's 12 x's. And a 9 plus 3, which is 12. Okay? Now we want to solve for x. Let's move the small x's to the other side. And let's move the 12 to the right side. So we're going to subtract 12. So we end up with 6x equals negative 18. Now we want to divide by 6. The goal is to solve for x, so x needs to be alone. So negative 18 divided by 6 is negative 3. So negative 3 would be our answer. Excuse me. All right, let's look at number 9 that's sitting on this paper. Now, we had one like this on our practice. And remember, we had talked about at the beginning when we have g of x and we replace that x with a number. Okay, so in our equation, we're just going to replace that x with the number. All right, so let's see what that is. Negative 27 plus 4 is negative 23. And negative 23 times 5 is a negative 115. So our answer is negative 115. All right. Down here, we wanted to find 3 different values if we gave x 3 different values. Okay, so we're going to do this 3 times. Negative 4 times negative 2 plus 7. So that's 8 plus 7, which is 15. Now these two have negative 15, and our answer wasn't negative, so those two are out. All right, now let's look where x is negative, or is 0. So negative 4 times 0 is 0 plus 7. Our second number is 7. Both of those have that. Now it's up to the third number. Let's put a 3 in there. So negative 4 times 3 plus 7. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12, plus 7 is a negative 5. So the one that has the negative 5 is the answer. All right, it's just a matter of plugging in your numbers, okay? All right, the next one is another solve for a particular variable. This is a x again, so we want to distribute. Just make sure you distribute it all the way through the parentheses, okay? Don't leave anything out. Get your x's together. Move them to one side. Then move your numbers together. Move them to the other side. All right? Then you want to divide to move anything that's right there directly in front of the x. Now, if you can reduce this fraction, you need to reduce it. It does reduce by 6, so that's 3 over 2 for our answer. They may write it as 1.5 or 1.5. Either one of those works. It's the right answer. Now, this is another type of equation where they want you to solve, but they tell you what x and y are. So we're going to replace the x and y's with these two numbers. Okay, just plug them in. And then you want to take care of exponents first. So we have negative 3. Negative 4 squared is 16. So now let's multiply. We have negative 3 times 16 times 2. That gives us negative 96. And 4 times negative 4 is negative 16. So if we have negative 96 minus 16, we have negative 112. Okay? Just simple solving for x. All right, the next one is a word problem, and I know you want to just skip the word problems, but a lot of this test is going to be in word form. So it's going to be important that you at least read the problem to see if you can find the answer, okay? So we're going to read, and I'm probably going to write as I read. On the last day of the month, Sarah has to pay her daughter's preschool tuition and late pickup fees. Tuition, that's going to be important, is $520.30 per month. Okay, so that's every month she pays that. And $5.20 for every day a child is picked up late. Okay. Sarah wrote a check for $541.10. How many days did she pick her daughter up late for preschool? So let's just look. She has a flat fee every month of $520.30. To that, she has to add $5.20 for every day she's late. Okay? So this is my day late. So $5.20 every day I'm late. And what I paid, or what Sarah paid, was $541.10. So again, this is a solve for x problem. Okay? So we're going to subtract our constant over here. And we're going to say 541.10 minus 520.30. And we get 5.20x equals $20.80. Now we got to find the x. How many days did that happen? And then this is dividing by 520, or $5.20. That means she was late 4 days. Okay? Now, this bottom one is just like the one we did before. We've got to distribute, making sure we distribute all the way. Combine like terms. These two terms can be combined. Move your x's together. And then divide to solve for x. So we should have gotten negative 6. You notice they did have positive 6, so be careful. Make sure that you carry your negatives when you're supposed to. Okay? All right, so let's talk about some of the things on the worksheet that I gave you, the spreadsheet. First things are the midpoint and the distance formula. Midpoint formula basically is you adding the two x values together and cutting it in half, and then adding the two y values together and cutting it in half. That will give you the midpoint of your line. Okay, so I want to look at some examples. Then we're going to look at the distance formula. Now, put the Pythagorean theorem there also, and the reason for that is that you could use either one, okay? And I'm going to show you why you could have used either one, okay? So let's look at an example for midpoint, all right? Now, for midpoint, you can use Desmos, okay? Now, I'm going to use Desmos instead of the graph that I have there so that I can show you this. So it says a line segment has endpoints, and we're going to graph the endpoints. Okay, there's one point, and I'm going to graph the other point. All right, now I can see my 2 points. And it says the point K is the midpoint of JL. So the midpoint between these 2 points. What I need to find out is how far apart are they. So let's go from one point to the other. We're going up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We went up 6, and we're going to the right 2. Now we want to go half of that so we can find the middle. So half of 6 is 3, and half of 2 is 1. So the coordinates of the midpoint are 2, 5. To me, this is the easiest way to find the midpoint of a line segment when they give you the ends. Yeah, graphing it is the easiest way. You can graph it on your paper because you're going to have graph paper. So we could have graphed it here, 1, 2, and then 3, 8. We could have graphed it on this graph paper, and we still would have gone, sorry, I did that one wrong. We still would have gone halfway. Up 3 over 1 would be halfway. We still would have gotten our 2, 5 as our midpoint. So graphing it on paper or using Desmos, that depends on whether you get the calculator on that question or not. Okay? Here's another one. This one is different because it gives you different information. Okay, so you need to make sure that you're reading it. This one says the midpoint of a line is 0, 1. So we're going to change our coordinates up here. 0, 1. And then an endpoint is -2, 5. Okay, so I still have my points drawn here. But what I want you to notice is that this said midpoint. That's the midpoint. This one says it was an end. All right, so this is an end, and this is the midpoint. I need the other end point. So I need to know how far did I move from this point to the midpoint so I can do it again to find the other end. So I'm going down 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right 2. So let's go down 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right 2. And this is the other endpoint that we are looking for. It has a coordinate of 2, -3. Okay? Now you can use the formula. I believe that graphing is much easier. But you do have to pay attention to the information that's given to you. Okay?